The story opens with Alina, a receptionist at the Adventurers Guild. For her, it's the ideal job, steady, secure, and all she has to do is greet adventurers with a smile. However, whenever they struggle to take down a boss, the paperwork piles up, forcing her to work overtime. Unbeknownst to others, she's actually incredibly powerful, so she secretly takes on the role of an adventurer to eliminate bosses and lighten her workload. A renowned adventurer named Guns arrives, instantly recognized by those around him as one of the guild's elite. He announces to Alina that he's heading to the underground ruins to defeat the boss, and the adventurers eagerly anticipate his performance as he declares that his party will conquer the dungeon. She requests his second-class license, but he reminds her that as a member of Silver Sword, the guild's most powerful party, she should make an exception for him. She finds him irritating since no one is permitted to accept quests without proper documentation. Yet she insists that verifying his class is necessary to ensure it aligns with the dungeon's difficulty. He takes off his helmet, boasting about his fame, and claiming he doesn't need to provide his license. Even so, she remains firm, prompting him to finally hand it over. She wishes him good luck. The story takes place on the Helicasia continent, where an ancient people known as the Da were believed to be blessed by the gods. They built a highly advanced civilization, but they mysteriously vanished, leaving the land to be overrun by monsters. However, 200 years ago, a band of adventurers defeated these creatures in Helicasia and re-established human settlements. To support them, the Adventurers Guild set up reception halls, and Alina is stationed at the largest one, commonly referred to as the affair counter. One evening, while adventurers relax and revel in the tavern, Alina remains at her desk, buried in paperwork. She longs to go home and unwind, but she knows that if she leaves it unfinished, the documents will only continue stacking up, overwhelming her even further. Determined, she keeps working, silently cursing the dungeon boss, since its presence attracts monsters, which causes adventurers to flood in, taking on quests until the threat is finally eliminated. After a full month of constant overtime, she's reached her limit and decides it's time to take action. The scene shifts to the underground ruins, where the Silver Swords are locked in battle with the boss dragon. Their leader, Jade, activates his ability to shield the party from its flames, while Guns charges in, only for his attack to fail, sending him hurtling through the air. Their healer, Lily, quickly aids him, while their mage, Lyle, launches a barrage of ice shards at the dragon. But the attack does nothing, and they quickly realize they can't win. As they consider retreating, Alina suddenly appears. Jade warns her to run, but she summons her war hammer and charges straight at the beast. The dragon attempts to incinerate her, but she leaps forward and slams its head with full force. It tries to take flight, unleashing another wave of fire, but she dodges the flames and swings her weapon, slicing through its body. The dragon shrieks as it crashes to the ground, and the members of Silver Sword are left in shock, unable to believe what they just witnessed. They recognize her as the elusive adventurer known as the Executioner, a figure who mysteriously appears whenever the guild struggles to clear a dungeon. As the dragon's remains settle, it drops a relic, and Alina sighs in relief, knowing she can finally leave work on time. But as she turns to go, Jade catches a glimpse of her face. The following day, Alina realizes she made a mistake. Guns has abruptly retired, and now the guild is searching for her to take his place. Her friend Lyra is thrilled, convinced that Silver Sword will be unstoppable if she joins, but Alina is determined to keep her identity a secret. If the guild discovers the truth, she'll be fired. Meanwhile, at guild headquarters, Jade investigates female adventurers, telling his party that the Executioner has black hair and green eyes. His comrades suggest he let it go, since they still need a new attacker, but he refuses to give up. Later, Lily tells Lau that she wants to buy herbs, but he just wants to go home and rest. She hands him a donut, insisting that it's delicious, and he realizes that with their unpredictable schedules as adventurers, they need to make the most of their time. She urges him to go outside more often and begin selecting fruits, prompting him to join her. Meanwhile, Jade contemplates the relic, noting that it grants immense strength, which is why adventurers are fighting over it. However, he can't understand why the Executioner showed no interest in picking it up. His thoughts shift to the unique ability she used to summon her weapon, unlike anything other adventurers possess, leading him to suspect it's a DI skill. A sudden gust of wind passes, and he catches sight of Alina. Something about her appearance reminds him of the Executioner, so he decides to follow her, though he struggles to believe she's merely a receptionist. As Alina enjoys the quieter atmosphere with fewer adventurers seeking quests, Jade unexpectedly approaches her, stating that he's searching for the Executioner. Panic sets in, and she tries to feign ignorance, but he reveals that he has night vision and clearly saw the Executioner's face. She refuses to believe it, certain that her hood concealed her identity, but he confidently declares that he knows the truth. Thinking her career as a receptionist is over, she quickly suggests they continue the conversation elsewhere. He hands her the relic dropped by the boss, reminding her of its remarkable durability, but she casually crushes it with her bare hands. Stunned by her strength, he listens as she insists she just wants to enjoy her life as a receptionist, warning him that she'll kill him if he keeps bothering her. As she turns to leave, he attempts to stop her using his skill, which hardens anything it touches. However, she swiftly summons her war hammer and slams it into the ground. Preparing to eliminate him to protect her secret, she raises her weapon, but he suddenly questions where it came from, realizing that she activated a DI skill. He explains that such skills were believed to have vanished with the ancients and are far more powerful than anything modern adventurers possess. But she dismisses his words, threatening to kill him again. He clarifies that he isn't here to fight her and instead extends an offer to recruit her into Silver Sword. Without hesitation, she refuses, unwilling to leave her position. Curious about her motives, he asks why she killed the dragon, and she bluntly admits that she was simply trying to avoid working overtime, explaining that the influx of paperwork was all because of the dungeon boss. She describes the struggles of being overworked, blaming him for failing to defeat the boss, which forced her to step in. He counters that she wouldn't have to deal with overtime if she joined Silver Sword, but she reminds him that adventurers have unpredictable schedules, and she refuses to become one of them. She warns him not to reveal her secret, or he'll face the consequences, then walks away, while he silently vows not to give up. Returning to work, Alina believes she'll finally leave on time, until an adventurer named Slay arrives, demanding the secret quest from Lyra. Alina knows no such quest exists and calmly tells him their counter doesn't handle it, explaining that all available quests are posted on the board. But Slay refuses to believe her and raises his hand to strike, only for Jade to intervene. Slay accuses him of trying to show off and swings at him, but Jade effortlessly deflects the attack and warns that he'll break his arm if he touches Alina again. Fearful, Slay flees, and Jade asks if she's alright. She thanks him for stepping in, but questions why he's even there. He casually replies that he was just passing by, and takes his leave. The next day, Alina thinks about Jade, deciding she needs to make him suffer to ensure he stays quiet. However, she quickly remembers his high status in the guild. Laying a finger on him would get her fired. She sighs, wishing she could escape reality, but reminds herself that she secured a loan for her house thanks to her stable job and high credit score. Losing her position isn't an option. Later, as she enjoys her lunch, she wonders why Jade keeps lingering around the quest counter. He suddenly approaches, commenting on her nice spot. Annoyed, she summons her warhammer, warning him not to interrupt her meal. Jade asks when she first acquired her Diaz skill, noting that no one knows how to awaken such power. He believes she's wasting her potential as a receptionist, but she dismisses him, telling him to stop loitering around her since she will never join Silver Sword. As she walks away, she wonders why she was granted a Diaz skill in the first place. A flashback from 2 years ago shows the annual festival in full swing, while Alina, newly employed at the guild, struggles to adjust to her responsibilities. Overwhelmed, she constantly works overtime to finish her paperwork. Reaching her breaking point, she recalls the legend that the strongest wish made on the festival day will be answered by Dia's blessing. Desperate, she pleads with the gods to free her from overtime, but nothing happens. After work, she rushes to the town square, only to find the festival already over. Tears stream down her face as she vents her frustration, cursing overtime and vowing to do anything to escape it. She wishes for power to eliminate every obstacle in her path, and in that moment, a magic circle appears, bestowing her with a Diaz skill. Back in the present, Slay plots revenge against Alina. He spots a party returning with a captured golem and devises a plan. Meanwhile, Jade's thoughts remain fixated on Alina when the ground suddenly quakes. The golem has broken free. Acting quickly, he provokes it with his skill, urging bystanders to evacuate. Other adventurers warn him that he can't defeat it alone since it's a raid boss. They admit to using hypnosis to bring it into town for material collection, but something caused it to go berserk. Slay reveals his ability to control the golem, boasting that he will use it to destroy the town. As the creature lunges at Jade, he grabs a shield and braces for impact. Meanwhile, Alina remains buried in work, forced into yet another round of overtime after her boss demands a report submission by the end of the day. The sound of screams catches her attention, and she glances outside, realizing that Slay is behind the commotion. When the golem launches massive boulders, she watches in horror as one heads straight for her house. Racing toward it, she arrives only to find her home reduced to rubble. The weight of her 30-year mortgage hits her, and rage boils within her. Without hesitation, she summons her hammer, vowing to end Slay. Back at the battle, Jade struggles to figure out how to defeat the golem when Alina suddenly appears, effortlessly slicing off its arm. Recognizing her, Slay recalls that the guild has been searching for her, and he assumes they'll be furious if he manages to eliminate her. But Alina's focus is elsewhere. Her home was her sanctuary, her place of recovery after endless workdays. Now, with it gone, she sets her sights on making Slay pay. Slay commands the golem to strike, but Alina effortlessly cleaves it in half, sending him tumbling to the ground. As he stares up at her in terror, he calls her a monster, but she coldly tells him not to mess with other people's belongings. With a single swing, she shatters the ground beneath him, making him realize just how close he came to death. Later, Alina finds herself in low spirits, unsure of where to stay. Jade offers her a place at his home, but she refuses, insisting she'll find a room to rent on her own. Meanwhile, at the guild headquarters, Guildmaster Glenn learns that the executioner made an appearance in in town. He acknowledges that she protected everyone, but he remarks that her luck is running out. Using his special skill, he peers into the past to uncover more about her. Back at the guild, Alina is drowning in paperwork again, but Jade unexpectedly helps her, encouraging her to cheer up. Since he holds an executive position, he has access to her office, and he urges her to take a break and go home. However, she insists on finishing everything that night so she can leave early the next day. When he shows her the completed documents, she's taken aback by their perfection, realizing how quickly he adapted to the work. She begins comparing herself to him, feeling inadequate since she has spent 3 years honing her skills, while he seems to have mastered them instantly. Frustrated, she tears up, lamenting how unfair life is. But Jade reassures her, explaining that his efficiency is thanks to her excellent teaching. To lift her spirits, he offers her sweets, but as he does, he notices something inside the relic she had crushed. Upon closer inspection, he finds inscriptions within it. As he reads them aloud, the relic suddenly activates, materializing a quest form. The document orders them to defeat all the bosses in a place called Chalk Tower. Jade is puzzled, as he has never heard of such a location, but Alina nonchalantly tells him he can have the relic and that Silver Sword should handle the quest. Taking it seriously, he promises to investigate. The following day, Alina discovers that she has made headlines once again. Lyra excitedly remarks that the executioner is incredibly cool, noting that they're as famous as Jade. She even reveals that she's a fan of both, convinced that the executioner must be handsome. Reflecting on the battle with the golem, she gushes about how well they work together, believing they make the perfect team. Jade is the strongest tank in the guild, and the executioner as the ultimate attacker. Glenn steps into the affair counter, drawing everyone's attention as he announces his curiosity about the executioner. He walks up to Alina, asking if she knows about his special ability. She casually remarks that it lets him stop time and glimpse into the past, but a sudden realization dawns on her. Her secret is out. He must have used his skill to see her face in the square. When he tells her they need to talk at the guild headquarters, she braces herself, convinced she's about to be fired. Jade tries to reassure her, believing Glenn will understand if she explains her situation, but she snaps at him, telling him to shut up and declaring that she hates him. The words hit him like a hammer blow, and he's left devastated, admitting he never wanted her to feel that way. His friends exchange pitying looks, recognizing that he has feelings for her. However, Lily bluntly states that his situation seems hopeless. At the guild's training grounds, Alina stands before Glenn, demanding to know why he brought her there. He admits he never expected the executioner to be someone like her, as she looks like nothing more than an ordinary receptionist. Without warning, he challenges her to a duel, stating that if she loses, she must join the Silver Sword. But if she wins, he'll leave her alone, assuring her that she won't lose her job regardless of the outcome. Alina summons her hammer, and Lily and Lau, watching from the sidelines, finally accept that she truly is the executioner. She charges at Glenn, but the moment she swings her weapon, time stops. He observes her frozen form, remarking that she seems almost like a dark god. However, to his shock, she shatters his temporal barrier and demands an explanation. Glenn reveals that they're inside his observation room, a space where he alone should be able to move freely within the stop time. Yet, somehow, she broke through it. Admitting defeat, he restores time to normal, and Alina, still irritated, asks what his real goal was. He confesses that he wanted to test the true nature of her powers. His assistant chimes in, explaining that Sigurd's abilities surpass ordinary adventurer skills, but even they pale in comparison to Jez's abilities, which are considered legendary. But Alina remains indifferent, reminding Glenn of his promise to leave her alone. However, he changes the subject, revealing that the guild has discovered a new dungeon, the Chalk Tower. He explains that the request form that appeared from the relic was a hidden quest left behind by the ancients. Rufus watches in awe as Alina effortlessly slays the bat, and he warns the group that the real threat is still lurking deeper inside the dungeon. He describes a humanoid creature clad in obsidian armor, wielding a great sword that cut down his entire party in an instant. Jade tenses, realizing that whatever they're up against isn't an ordinary monster. It might be another remnant of the ancients. As they press forward, Alina considers the implications of this new dungeon. With more quests becoming available, the workload at the guild will only increase, which means even more overtime. She glares at Glenn's guiding crystal shard, reminding herself that she's only doing this because he promised to hire more receptionists. If he breaks his word, she'll make him regret it. Back at headquarters, Jade informs Glenn about the encounter, explaining that the creature possesses a Jez skill. Glenn considers halting the quest, but Rufus protests, frustrated that Jade refuses to let him join the Silver Sword. He insists he's worthy of a place in their party. Jade urges him to calm down, but Rufus snaps, threatening to expose Alina as a monster unless Jade kicks her out and lets him take her place. When Jade asks what he's after, Rufus reveals his true goal, the secret relic hidden in the dungeon's depths, said to grant its wielder a Jez skill. That evening, Jade tells Alina that Rufus will be taking her place, allowing her to return to her receptionist duties. She wonders if the guild will still uphold its promise, but Jade's hesitant response makes her suspicious. She tells him to leave so she can pack her belongings before moving out, but deep down, she worries about him. She knows firsthand how dangerous an enemy with a day's skill can be. Jade assures her there's no need to worry. They can always retreat if they can't win. He promises they'll return safely and reminds her that she can stay at his place until her house is repaired. As he bids her farewell, she suddenly recalls someone from her past. In a flashback, a younger Alina looks up to an adventurer named Shroud, wanting to be just like him. However, he encourages her to become a receptionist instead, since it's a safe and stable job. But Alina dreams of growing stronger, so they can take on quests together. He promises to form a party with her when she grows up. But one day, she finds his lifeless body on the ground. Overwhelmed with grief, she breaks down in tears. Alina jolts awake from the dream, realizing she hasn't thought about Shroud in a long time. She gets ready for work but can't shake her growing concern for the others. Meanwhile, Jade and his party push deeper into the dungeon. He's visibly drained from continuously using his skill to detect nearby threats. They reach the last room on the 4th floor, and Jade immediately senses blood in the air. The chamber is pitch black, so Lao casts a light spell to reveal their surroundings. What they see sends chills down their spines, a slain monster lying in a pool of blood. Standing over it is the humanoid creature they fought before, who now introduces himself as the dark god Selha. Selha summons a spear and hurls it at Jade, who barely manages to block it with his shield. But to his shock, the impact leaves a deep crack. La suggests retreating, but before they can escape, Rufus traps them in a cage. Rufus reveals the truth. Selha was sealed within the dungeon, but his bonds will shatter once he consumes enough souls. He confesses that he slaughtered his own companions to feed Selha, and now he plans to offer them as well in exchange for the Diaz skill. However, before he can act, Selha suddenly drives a spear through Rufus's back, absorbing his soul. He sneers, remarking that Rufus's essence tastes awful, tainted by greed and cowardice. But he's eager to devour the souls of stronger prey. And that's where this episode ends. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see more of this series. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.